Today, I'm going to be reviewing the cheapest mini split currently available on Amazon, and this mini split is built by Rovsun. I have the 12,000 BTU 115 volt unit. There are a few different options available, and technically my unit is not actually the cheapest one. The cheapest one is 9,000 BTUs, but it's the exact same brand and same model. I just decided to go with the 12,000 BTU unit because it was only $50 more, and you know, I could always go for more cooling power. In my specific case, this unit is replacing the rooftop air conditioners in my motorhome, so this is installed in a motorhome. Before we get too deep into it, I just want to mention that nobody's sponsoring this video, nobody's paid me to make this video, and I did not get this product for free. I paid for it with my own money, and this is a completely unbiased review. I want to do more reviews just like this, where they're honest, straight up, and unbiased. And you can help me out with this. If my review helps you in deciding to purchase this unit, please consider purchasing it through my link down below. It's an affiliate link on Amazon, and it will give me a small cut of the profit, which will help me to make reviews just like this in the future. I greatly appreciate it, guys. So the reason I bought this mini split is because the rooftop air conditioners on my motorhome got destroyed by storms. One was destroyed in a hailstorm, and one was destroyed by a tornado that we just had 2 weeks ago. So that left me with no air conditioning in the Oklahoma heat. Now, I could have just directly replaced the rooftop air conditioners in my motorhome, but that would cost me $1,100 for each one. And honestly, after the tornado, I was left with not a lot of money, so the cheaper the better. This mini split only cost me $500 after an Amazon Prime coupon. It's listed on Amazon for $600, but if you're a Prime member, there is a $100 coupon that will take $100 off the price of it. Now, the prices that I just quoted you, the $1,100 and the $500, that's not including shipping. Shipping is going to greatly depend on where you're at. In my specific case, shipping was about $75 in both cases. Now, you might argue that a mini split requires more tools to install, and it certainly does. But even with purchasing these tools, I bought a drill set and a vacuum compressor, and even with purchasing those, my total still came way under that $1,100 mark. I really only spent about $800 total with the tools and everything. Another reason why I decided to go with a mini split as opposed to just directly replacing the rooftop unit is because a mini split can do both heat and air conditioning. And that is incredibly important for my application because I travel around between Oklahoma and Colorado. So when I'm in Colorado, I really need something that can provide me with heat. And my current solution is just using propane, and you know, that's pretty efficient. It doesn't really cost a whole lot of money to heat the motorhome with propane. But if I could use solar power to heat the motorhome instead, obviously that's going to be a much better option, and this thing can run off of solar power. Another reason why I decided to go with a mini split is just because it's a lot easier to install in my opinion. With replacing one of these rooftop units, I really need someone else's help. It's kind of difficult to do it by myself, but with the mini split, I was able to do it 100% by myself, and I didn't need any help for any of the process. A mini split is also way more energy efficient than a rooftop unit, and when I say it's way more efficient, I'm not kidding. It uses like not even a quarter as much power as the rooftop units use in my motorhome. So that's a big benefit, especially if you're running on solar power, or even if you're connected to the grid, it'll save you a ton of money on your electric bill. As far as the installation goes, for me personally and the experience that I have, it was incredibly straightforward. Most of the installation was pretty self-explanatory, although I must admit that the user manual was not super clear on some things, but there really wasn't anything that I couldn't do without looking up a YouTube video. Now, I have some automotive repair experience and residential electric experience, and I know the dangers and I know the ins and outs of those things, so definitely take that into consideration here, but I would say that it was about a 6 out of 10 in terms of difficulty installing it. Now, if you have no experience relevant to installing this thing, like you've never done anything like this before, and you have no electrical experience, you don't know the dangers with electricity, I would highly recommend that you just hire a professional to do it. But the cool thing is, like I've already said 1,000 times, this thing's really easy to install, so hiring a professional to do it shouldn't cost you too much at all. I should mention that I have no HVAC experience whatsoever, but I was able to figure that part out pretty easily as well. Alright, so the part that everybody's been wondering about, how does this thing perform? So the day that I installed it, it was 85 degrees outside. It was roughly 90 or 95 inside the motorhome. I turned the thing on, set it to 68 degrees, and it brought it down to temperature in roughly an hour, slightly less than an hour. So it cooled down the inside of the motorhome very quickly, and I was very impressed by that because with the rooftop units, it would take them quite a while to get down to temperature, and under similar conditions, they would not actually even get down to 68 degrees. They'd probably float somewhere around 75-ish degrees or so. The very first time I booted this thing up and it was getting down to temperature, it initially was drawing about 900 watts of power. Once it got down to 72 degrees, it was pulling a pretty consistent 600 watts of power, and once it got down to temperature, it kind of fluctuated between 2 and 600 watts. I've been using this thing for about a week now, and when I average out how much it uses per hour, it's roughly 300 watts. So if you have solar power on your motorhome, really all you need is 300 watts of solar to maintain this thing continually. So I have this mini split installed on the front end of my motorhome, but I use it to cool the entire motorhome, and it does a pretty good job. The fan on this thing, even though it's very quiet, it's very powerful, so the airflow is very good inside of here. Just to give you an idea of how well it cools off the motorhome, today the Weather Channel said it's 105 degrees outside. I'm going to show you some temperature readings just from around the motorhome here. So this is on the outside of the motorhome on a shaded part. This is on the side of the motorhome where there's direct sunlight, and this is just pointing at the ground. So as you can see, it is incredibly hot outside today, but let's see how cool it is inside the motorhome. This is the air temperature coming directly out of the mini split. This is the air temperature directly in front of the mini split. This is in the same room as the mini split, but on the other side of the room towards the back. This is in the bedroom with the bedroom door open, and this is on the wall closest to the mini split. And this wall is the furthest away from the mini split or the very back of the motorhome. So as you can see, the temperature inside of here is nice and cool. It is really, really cool in here, so much better than the rooftop air conditioners. This has been such an upgrade, even for such a cheap unit. I also have to say that it is incredible how quiet this thing is. It is silent. As far as the inside unit goes, you can't really hear it at all unless it's set in turbo mode. And even in turbo mode, when I turn on my desk fan, the desk fan makes a lot more noise than this thing does. The outside unit is pretty much completely silent, and I haven't even heard so much as a peep coming from it. Just listen to this clip that I recorded earlier. You can hear the rustling in the trees behind it a lot more clearly than the mini split itself, and you can't even really hear the unit at all. It's actually kind of funny how quiet it is. My neighbors know that I have cats in here, and recently we've been experiencing 100 to 115 degree days. And one of my neighbors didn't even hear the unit running and thought that it was broken and was texting me frantically saying, "Hey dude, come check your air conditioner, your cats are roasting alive in here." So of course, I booked it back home thinking there was a problem. Nope, still nice and cool inside of here. It's just really, really quiet. So there's a lot of good reasons why you would want to purchase this mini split. But of course, with any product, there's gonna be downsides. And thankfully with this mini split, so far, I haven't really had any downsides to it. There have been a couple minor annoyances though that I do want to mention in case this does affect you. So I would say that my biggest annoyance with this thing is the remote. And I don't really know how to say it other than this remote is complete garbage. It can get the job done and you're really not going to have too many issues with it, but you do have to have this thing very close to the air conditioner for it to actually change anything. It is an infrared remote, so you do have to have it pretty close and you have to have it like right up to the sensor for it to pick up what the remote is doing. Now it's really not that big of an issue, but sometimes when I go to change the temperature, I press down the temperature or press up the temperature and it just doesn't do anything. So I have to reset it back to where it was before and then try again, and usually it works the second time. Something that I do want to mention though, and I only mention it because I was really looking forward to this feature, is the I Feel mode. Now, I Feel mode is basically where the remote acts as the thermostat, and I was hoping that I could take this into the bedroom and it would go based off of the bedroom's temperature instead of the temperature at the mini split itself. But going back to the fact that this is an infrared remote, it has to be pretty much right next to the air conditioner for this function to work. So if it's more than 2 or 3 feet away from the unit, then this feature is basically completely useless. So if one feature that you're looking forward to is that, and you're really counting on that working well, don't count on it. I've also got to say that the instructions that came with it were incredibly vague. As far as operating the thing, they're pretty clear and there's really not much question on how to operate it. But in terms of installing it, if I went off the instructions alone, I would be completely lost in the install. Now, again, that's not really a problem and not something that would prevent me from buying another unit in the future, just because, you know, from a quick Google search, you can find a million YouTube videos that show you how to do it, and it's still a very straightforward and simple install, but the instructions that come with it, they're not good at all. And I might also mention that the wiring diagrams that come with the unit, they're printed extremely small. I have pretty good eyesight, and even I had to take a picture of it with my phone and zoom in on it to see what's going on there. So definitely make sure that you have your reading glasses on you while you're installing this. So what are my final thoughts on it? Overall, I'm incredibly impressed, especially for the price point that I purchased it at. This thing outperforms both rooftop units that I had installed on my motorhome, and both rooftop units, when they were running at the same time, would pull about 3,000, 3,500 watts or so. This thing only pulls about 300 watts per hour, and that's an average number. It kind of fluctuates between 200 and 600 watts, but regardless, that is way more energy efficient than the rooftop units when they were both running together. Not to mention that the mini split doesn't seem to have any issues at all keeping the motorhome at the set temperature, whereas the rooftop units, they would run all the time 24/7, and they struggled to get down to the temperature that I had them set at. Obviously at the price point and being the cheapest unit available on Amazon, I was a little bit skeptical about the quality of the product and how well it would perform, but it blew my expectations completely away. It performed even way better than I expected it to. So overall, I definitely would recommend getting a mini split for your motorhome or your schoolie, or even if you just have an office or bedroom or something that you need to cool off or heat up. I 100% would recommend getting this specific mini split. Thank you all for watching this video. Again, if it helps you out, consider purchasing this product through my affiliate link down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.